Hello, everyone. Welcome to Simple English Stories. Today, we have a long and emotional story called My Hospital Love. This story is perfect for practicing English listening, speaking, and the shadowing technique. Listen carefully, pause after each sentence, and repeat after me. Copy the tone, speed, and emotion. Are you ready? Let's begin. I never thought that a hospital would change my life. For me, hospitals were always cold places, filled with white walls, quiet hallways, and serious faces. I had never imagined that love could grow in a place where people usually come because of pain, fear, and uncertainty. But sometimes life surprises us in the most unexpected ways. I went to the hospital on a rainy Monday morning. The sky was gray, and my heart felt heavy. I was there because my mother needed surgery. She tried to stay strong, but I could see fear in her eyes. I held her hand tightly as we waited, trying to give her comfort, even though I was scared too. The waiting room was full of people. Some were silent, some were crying quietly, and some were staring at their phones, pretending everything was normal. I sat on a chair near the window, watching raindrops slide down the glass. Time felt slow, and every minute felt like an hour. That was when I saw him for the first time. He was sitting across the room, wearing light blue scrubs. He looked tired but kind. His hair was slightly messy, and he had gentle eyes. He was holding a cup of coffee, but he wasn't drinking it. Instead, he was looking around, as if he was thinking about something important. Our eyes met for a brief moment. I quickly looked away, feeling a little embarrassed. I didn't know why, but my heart started beating faster. I told myself it was just stress. After all, I was in a hospital, worried about my mother. A few minutes later, he stood up and walked toward me. My hands became cold, and I didn't know what to do. He stopped in front of me and smiled softly. "Are you okay?" he asked. His voice was calm and warm. I nodded slowly. "I think so," I said. "My mother is in surgery." He nodded with understanding. "I hope everything goes well," he said gently. "My name is Daniel." "I'm Anna," I replied. That was our first conversation. It was short and simple, but it felt important. After that, he went back to his work, and I stayed in the waiting room thinking about his smile. Hours passed. The surgery took longer than expected. I felt exhausted, both physically and emotionally. At some point, Daniel came back and sat next to me. "Do you want some tea?" he asked. "It helps during long waits." I smiled for the first time that day. "Yes, thank you," I said. We talked quietly while drinking tea. He told me he was a nurse and had been working at the hospital for 3 years. He loved helping people, even though the job was difficult. I told him about my family, my job, and how scared I felt that day. He listened carefully without interrupting. That made me feel safe. It felt like he understood me, even though we had just met. When the doctor finally came out and said my mother was okay, I felt a huge wave of relief. I wanted to cry and laugh at the same time. Daniel smiled at me and said, "I'm glad to hear that." Over the next few days, I visited the hospital every day to see my mother, and every day I saw Daniel. Sometimes we talked for only a few minutes, sometimes longer. Sometimes we just smiled at each other from across the hallway. Slowly, the hospital started to feel different. It was still a place of pain and worry, but it also became a place of comfort and connection. I started looking forward to my visits, not only to see my mother, but also to see him. One evening, after a long day, Daniel asked if I wanted to sit with him during his break. We went to a small garden behind the hospital. The air was cool and the city lights were shining softly. We talked about our dreams. He told me he wanted to travel one day and maybe work in different hospitals around the world. I told him I wanted a simple life filled with meaningful moments and real connections. As we talked, I realized something important. I felt calm with him. I felt understood. I felt happy in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. Days turned into weeks. My mother got better and was finally ready to go home. I was grateful, but I also felt sad. I knew I wouldn't be coming to the hospital every day anymore. On my mother's last day in the hospital, I looked for Daniel, but I couldn't find him. I felt disappointed and a little afraid that I would never see him again. Just before leaving, I heard my name, Anna. I turned around and saw him standing there, holding a small piece of paper. He handed me the paper. It was his phone number. "Call me," he said with a smile. "I don't want our story to end here." I smiled back, my eyes filling with tears. "I will," I promised. And I did. We started meeting outside the hospital. We went for walks, drank coffee, and talked for hours. We laughed, shared memories, and learned more about each other every day. The hospital was where our story began, but it wasn't where it ended. It was just the place that brought us together. Sometimes love doesn't come when life is perfect. Sometimes it comes when you are scared, tired, and unsure. Sometimes love appears in the middle of pain and turns it into something beautiful. Even now, when I pass that hospital, I slow down and smile. It reminds me that the most unexpected places can give us the most meaningful connections. My hospital love taught me that hope can be found anywhere. Even in a place where people go to heal their bodies, hearts can heal too. Now it's your turn. Listen carefully to each sentence. Pause the video after each sentence and repeat after me. Copy the tone, speed, and emotion. This is the shadowing technique. It will improve your English listening, speaking, and pronunciation. Thank you for listening to My Hospital Love.